All right, good morning. This is Poco's last day with me up here. His owner is going to come and get him today. He's been up here 30 days to get started. That mare there is the one I'm starting on today that's taken his place. Little 5-year-old Arab mare that hasn't been worked with too much. But I hope in this video that we've put together here, this Colt Starting video that we've put together, you guys will be able to see the techniques and the methods that I use, and they'll be able to help you out if you're going to try and work with a younger horse or restart an older horse or try to work out some issues or problems. I had my concerns about using this horse for that Colt Starting video for that very reason, because he is so belligerent and out of control sometimes. You wouldn't think he's been up here 30 days, and he's been rode a lot, he's been saddled a lot. He knows what's going on, but that's just his attitude. And the owner wants a trail horse out of him, and maybe some years down the road he will be, but right now, because of his age and maturity and his attitude, he's not going to be a safe horse for just anybody to get on. He takes some ability to ride and some ability to control his attitude. And be able to ride him to the point where he actually starts listening to you. And that takes a bit with this horse. As you'll see, or as you have seen if you've watched the whole video, this guy will go along pretty good for a little while, and then he just says no. Then he gets drifty and quits listening and gets mad and wants to take over. And I'm hoping that it's just his age and his maturity, and as he gets older with more training and more riding, he'll get better. But sometimes you never can tell until you just got to keep working at it, be persistent, and other times, sometimes you just got to say, you know, this horse is way too much for me, and maybe I made a mistake getting a young horse and tried to make something out of him. And sometimes you're better off getting a horse that's within your capabilities, being safe and enjoying the ride, instead of trying to take on a project like this guy. We really could have made a whole movie about him. Maybe someday some big movie producer will take a look at this and want to make a movie out of it, but I doubt it, because this is real life, and this is what I deal with out here, and this is what you guys deal with. It's not the movies, not the fantasy stuff that you see that everybody wants to buy. But if you run into a horse like this, I hope this tape will give you some idea of what you might need to do with a horse like this to get them settled down enough to hopefully try and make something out of them instead of just throwing them away. You can see, even with the riding that he's had and the work on his groundwork and his footwork, he's still pretty clumsy with what he does with his feet. He's that way out in the field too, which is not going to bode real well for a trail horse if he's this clumsy all the time. But maybe, you know, maybe he'll come around. What I told the owner on the phone last night is exactly what I put in this video. You know, he's been started, but he's not as far along as a lot of other horses could be. And mostly that's him. It's not because he hasn't had the same amount of work. It's just he's a slower learner. And he's got a whole different attitude than a lot of different horses that I've worked with before. And he's got a ton of energy, so it takes him a bit to figure out how to settle down. What I just did there with that little exercise is twofold. It gets him working harder, but it also helps set up him to start learning how to side pass, which is way down the road with him, but hopefully it'll help work his feet a little bit and get him settled down here enough to where we can get on him and do something productive. Anyway, what I was saying, I told the owner on the phone last night that there's no way he's going to be a safe horse for her to take out on the field and go for an enjoyable trail ride on. I'm not sure how good a rider she is. He's never bucked, really. So that's not an issue with him, but it's just his obstinance and his hard-headedness and his unwillingness to do something softly. He needs to have somebody with a pretty firm grip on how to work with a horse like this, to not let him get away with copping that attitude. And she might hopefully be able to ride him in her arena where it's enclosed and he can't get away so much, and be able to keep up with his work and get along with him okay and keep riding him until later on in this summer. I told her, you know, if things still aren't working out for you with this horse, then we'll bring him back in later on in the summer and work him again. Or we'll leave him sit until he's a 4-year-old and see what his attitude's like then. But this is kind of the worst he's been for quite a few days. Today he's really got a bug. So it's not a quick 15-minute groundwork session with him today to get him settled down. And that's what you got to expect sometimes with younger horses. They're going to have the good days and the bad days, and not everything's going to go perfectly, which is the whole basis of my video. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing you the realities of doing this stuff and trying to do it for yourself at home. A lot of people made comments about Buck's movie and the Yellow Horse, and got a little bit disparaging about why Buck didn't take the horse and try and work with it and save it. Well, for one thing, it's not Buck's job to do that. He's there to teach people horsemanship, not take every horse that has an attitude and miraculously fix it. For another thing, if he spent the amount of time on that horse that would have needed to be spent on him, like I've spent on this one, he wouldn't be making a living. Luckily, I don't have to make a living, so I got the time to spend with them and try and turn them around. And it's not always successful. I'm hoping this horse has got a better future in front of him than what he showed me in the last month. But that remains to be seen. If he's allowed to get away with all the stuff that he's gotten away with for the last 3 years, it won't take long for him to figure out how to start being ornery again, or more ornery than what he is. All right, buddy. You ready to show the folks you actually can ride like a horse? Or are you going to give me a hard time when I get on too? So you can tell what I've been telling you about your groundwork and how everything you do on the ground equates to what happens when you get in the saddle. You can tell by watching him ride. He does the same thing when I get on him that he does when he's on the ground. I know how much I can get away with, and I've rode him for a month, so I know what he's going to do. And I know how much groundwork I have to do to get on him and be able to control what he's doing. But a lot of folks will take a horse like this and just crawl on and go without taking the time to figure out what kind of attitude they have or what kind of mood they're in, and not be able to nip it in the bud when you get a hold of them, when you get on. And I kind of have no doubt here that I'm going to probably be loping him around here pretty soon, because he's going to get mad. Maybe he won't. I hope he won't. But sometimes you just got to take him and just start loping circles with him until he's tired of loping circles and ready to settle down and start working. That's what I did the last time I got on him, because that's just the only thing that worked for him to get settled down and listen. He knows what he needs to do. Sometimes he just says, no, I'm not gonna. And then you got to keep working on him until you get what it is you're looking for. When he wants to listen, he's soft. He listens off your leg. He'll come around and he'll bend and he'll flex. And he'll do everything that a typical 30-day green broke horse would know how to do. But that just depends on him and his attitude. I've been trying not to do a whole lot of loping with him because he has a tendency to just get himself spooled up and want to take off to Neverland when you get him out in the field. So we've been working more on keeping him calm. And trying to get him to understand that it's not all about having to fight everybody every single day. Let me head up a little bit. I do know that he's still got some baby teeth issues that could be contributing to part of his attitude. It's just, right now it's just kind of hard to say. If I had him for another 30 days back to back, we might be able to work through some of these issues a lot more. Unfortunately, I don't have that scheduling. I don't have that luxury of the schedule because I got this one in here that I have to work. So maybe the best thing for him is just to go home and sit for a month, stew on what he did this month, and we'll start on him again later on in the summer and see if any of it is retained. I hope you've enjoyed watching these videos. I hope you're learning something out of them. If you're not learning anything else, if you don't like what I do, or you think I'm too tough on a horse, or you don't like what I do and you don't want to learn from it, then that's something that you've learned too. And if you learn nothing else, I hope you learn that the realities of training horses, especially horses like this one, are quite a lot different than your perceived realities of the horse whisperer and playing 7 games and a cookie will solve all your problems, because sometimes they won't. With a horse like this, The only thing a cookie's going to get you is your fingers missing. Y'all have a good one, and we'll catch you down the road.